Williams veers left, pulls up, looking for the lead, and he got it. Jalen Williams, 2 seconds, 1:11.109. Now SGA probing, piercing, spinning, hanging for the lead, and SGA knocks it down. The Thunder finally get the defensive stop, and SGA puts them in front.
I'm Kenrich Williams. You're listening to Topic Thunder.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Topic Thunder podcast. I am Cone. I'm your only host for today. A lot of the other guys are busy with stuff, and of course, it's only one game playing the Brooklyn Nets. But I thought I'd go ahead and hop on here and go ahead and recap it because we're out of the All-Star break. Also brought to you by FanDuel, by the way. We're going to get into that in a minute because I want to talk about Shai still being the favorite for MVP and how interesting that race has gotten. But yeah, the Thunder went ahead and got a win today over the Brooklyn Nets, much needed after the pretty lackluster loss to the Milwaukee Bucks. Kind of felt like a little bit of like, our break is coming up, not really high energy. And this game wasn't like super convincing for a majority of it. The Nets hung around, credit to them. The Thunder offense is really, really sluggish, of course, when you don't have Shai, Jalen Williams still, or AJ Mitchell. None of them came back coming out of the break. Things are going to be a little bit more difficult to get going on the offensive end, but defensively, I felt like the Thunder were great, and ultimately they run away to win 105-86. And there are a couple guys that immediately deserve shout-outs for this game, but I real quick do want to talk about that the injuries continue to be a factor. No Shai, he's going to be reevaluated in about a week yesterday, so maybe there's a chance he's back for the Pistons game, which is next Wednesday. I really hope that's the case because 1 seed versus 1 seed would be really entertaining with Shai back, and of course last year he went off against the Detroit Pistons. That was one of his best performances of the season. The Nuggets game after that, I would be surprised if he's not back for that, but I would love to see Shai back for both of those games. Same thing with AJ Mitchell. He's scheduled to be evaluated in about a week. Jade up a couple of weeks with the hamstring. I think they're definitely going to be cautious with him, which, again, with hamstrings, you don't want to rush that back, so I think that's not a bad idea. But yeah, with Shai being out, talking about the Pistons, the MVP race has gotten a little bit interesting. There was a lot more conversation about who's going to win the MVP race at this point. Shai is still the favorite over on FanDuel, so if you want to use our sponsor to go ahead and bet on him to win, he's at -150 right now. Jokic is +300. Cade Cunningham is +700 at the moment. So it's a little bit of a closer race. It seems like it's between those three guys. Luka Doncic is kind of out of it at this point. I mean, I don't think it's going to be Cade unless Shai and Jokic both miss too many games to the point where they don't even qualify. Cade is a really interesting story and a fun case, and I do think he's got an intriguing argument for being the MVP of the league when you think about the Pistons, and they weren't supposed to be this good and a lot of stuff like that, but his stats and efficiency just doesn't line up to the historic seasons that Shai and Jokic are having. So I do still believe Shai will win, and today the ESPN MVP straw poll came out that they do a couple of times a year, and Shai was running away with the votes according to everybody that voted in that straw poll. So I do believe Shai's going to win MVP as long as he plays enough games. The Thunder, I still believe, will get the 1 seed. Injuries are the big factor at the moment, trying to stop the Thunder from doing that with the Spurs not too far behind. But ultimately, I do expect the Thunder to still grab that spot, assuming Shai can come back within the week timeline that has been laid out. And the second Shai and AJ are back, Dub getting back too makes a difference, but really once the Thunder get Shai back, they can beat anybody on a nightly basis. So that's, just quick shout about the injuries and the things going on that kind of spurred this team to be able to get the big contributions that they got tonight from two guys in particular I want to talk about, Jared McCain and Nikola. Of course, McCain wasn't here before the season. I personally didn't expect Topic to really play at all this season once he got the diagnosis with testicular cancer, but Topic was able to fight through that, come back, and he made his debut the last game before the All-Star break against the Milwaukee Bucks. Didn't play very much, he hit a bucket, but there wasn't a lot of time for him to really kind of get some run, but tonight he played more, and he played 9 minutes, and Topic was great. I thought he played extremely well in that limited run. It got him to 11 minutes because he came in for a couple minutes at the end, but 11 minutes, 9 points, 3 rebounds, a couple of dimes, 4 of 6 shooting from the field, knocked down a 3 with a lot of confidence. Topic looked great, and that's kind of the vision with Topic there. A lot of people compared him to Josh Giddey, but Topic as a prospect, he showed a lot more flashes as a shooter, but specifically getting downhill and finishing at the rim. And you saw that in this game. There were two finishes. One, I believe it was over Noah Clowney, where he kind of hung in the air and waited for the shot blocker to descend enough to the point where he could get the layup up and over. That was a really, really smart and savvy play from, again, a guy who's in his second game in the NBA. And then the other one was a really nice scoop layup running. He pushed the pace in transition, got a couple of dimes there at the end. He had some other passes that kind of got sold by guys just not hitting the shots, but the three, also the confidence to go ahead and take that. The mid-range, that in-between game feels pretty good. Did have a few turnovers. I believe he finished with 3 turnovers, but honestly, that's like the least of my worries. I think a lot of that is just pace getting adjusted to the NBA speed and the physicality, which again is going to take a lot of time when you haven't really played at all. He is a rookie after all. So yeah, I was super encouraged by what Topic brought to the table. I'm very, very excited about him going forward. And some people are going to be like, it's the Brooklyn Nets, and of course they're not very good. It's the Brooklyn Nets, but to do it against any competition in your second game, I think is really, really promising. It didn't really matter the opponent to me, and they were looks that I feel like were just good looks and really impressive moves, impressive reads that would have been fine against any competition. So yeah, huge shout to Topic for this game. He was awesome, and he's going to continue to get better. You can see why the Thunder were willing to take him despite the ACL injury, and why, everybody's been so excited to see him come back. Of course, because it's an amazing story, and it's, huge for his personal journey. Just great to see him overcome those obstacles, but also just in terms of the basketball on-court product. Topic is going to make this team a lot better as he continues to get acclimated, so big shout to him. And then Jared McCain had his best game in an Oklahoma City Thunder uniform on his birthday, no less. Shout to J-Mac for going out there being the leading scorer tonight. Finished with 21 points, 4 rebounds, and a steal. 7 of 12 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, only 1 turnover and a foul. Jared McCain was awesome. And this is what we were hoping to see when the Thunder traded for J-Mac. Of course, it's been an up-and-down season for him going into his second year after dealing with injury last season that ended his season prematurely. Never really found a rhythm in Philly that consistently. But right before he got traded over to Oklahoma City, J-Mac kind of found that rhythm a little bit in Philly. And that's part of why it was so surprising that they traded him. And Maury's like, I think we sold high on him because it felt like he was just getting back into his rhythm. In games like this, one of the things the Thunder need most is confident shooters, guys that are willing to put up looks just for the hell of it. Like, anytime he gets a little bit of space or gets any opportunity, McCain is going to let that thing fly from the outside. And it's not like he's a bad shooter doing that. He's a very, very competent and capable shooter. Knocked down a corner 3 today. His relocation continues to be awesome. He is hunting those looks. A couple of those, very typical, like we've seen Jared McCain, like a bump middies, get into the guy's hip a little bit and then just bounce right off of him and knock down that elbow jumper. That's the kind of stuff that he does. Had an amazing finish. I think it was over Danny Wolf, if I remember correctly, at the rim, and that's the stuff you want to see too. A couple of times, at least once I can remember, I think it was twice where he got blocked, but I love to see the aggression from him continuing to build up that confidence, get involved in the system. And you can see there's still a lot of room for the chemistry in this team to grow with Jared McCain in the equation, because there were multiple times tonight where he was just standing on the perimeter like this, like, hey guys, I'm here, I'm wide open. And guys missed him. And I think part of that is, of course, Shea, AJ, J-Dub are some of our best playmakers. So not having those guys, it's going to lead to him being missed a little bit there more often. But also, I just don't know if guys are that used to playing with Jared McCain as someone who gets open so easily off of relocations. He is such a smart player out there on the perimeter. He's always going to find that space that he needs to get to. He fills lanes incredibly well. He's just a really, really smart player. And you can see that. And I think as guys continue to play with him and recognize they're going to watch film and be like, oh, he was that open, then it's going to come along more naturally. But having a guy that is not only willing to take threes with a lot of confidence, but is very capable of knocking them down, it's a really great sign. It's a big plus for this Thunder team, and I continue to want to see Jared McCain play with Shea. That's something that we haven't gotten to see yet, alongside Jalen Williams. Like, I really just want to see this team fully healthy and with Jared McCain in the equation, because I think that's where he's really going to thrive, and he's already been great. I mean, again, 21 points, 4 rebounds, led the team in scoring. Bark tonight in the post-game interview. It seems like he's really getting acclimated quickly, and I've been very encouraged by the way that he's played. Overall, though, it was kind of a sloppy game from the Thunder as a whole. Turned the ball over 18 times. The Nets only put up 86 points, but it's also the Brooklyn Nets. I feel like the defense was pretty good from the team, but 42.2% from the field. Not just the offense is tough. without Shea, without Dub, without AJ Mitchell. Of course, we've seen it. It's been the case with those guys out, with one of those guys out, especially with two of them out, never mind all three out. Things just kind of get difficult to put together on that offensive end, and it's going to continue to come along. Now, the Thunder do have a tougher schedule coming up. Actually, real quick, let me give a couple more shouts to guys. Isaiah Joe, 11 points, 7 boards, an assist, and 2 steals. Knocked down a couple of threes, and one of the boards, he skied way up there and curled his arm around it and just ripped it away from the big. I can't remember who was playing. I think it might have been Dayron Sharp at that point. But Zay's ability to get in those skirmishes and any loose ball, he's diving forward or he's jumping up for a rebound. He gets way higher than people expect, I feel like, but he continues to just make a huge impact in the absence of all these other guys. Kaysen had 4 steals, shout out to him, 6 dimes. Chet had 15 and 7 with 2 assists. Really good rim protection from him as well. One of the biggest reasons why the Nets couldn't get anything going. Not a great Aaron Wiggins game, 3 of 11. Caruso 0 of 5 for 0 points, and also left this game early with potential injury. That just continues to be a factor for this Thunder team. They can't escape it, so we'll see if he's good. But yeah, those are kind of my general thoughts on this Thunder game as a whole. Now looking forward a little bit more to also Isaiah Hartenstein, 10-8. 4-1-2. Gotta give him a shout as well, because the Thunder had some kind of offense in the first and beginning of the second quarters. They kind of figured out in the second and the third, but Isaiah Hartenstein was a big factor in kind of staving off the Nets while that was going on. But yeah, I want to talk about the Thunder schedule coming up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up real quick because it's going to get difficult. And this is where we talk about, potentially losing the 1 seed. I do anticipate the Thunder will hold the 1 seed the rest of the season. They might lose it for a day or two in there, because over the next few games, the Thunder do play the Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday. Doesn't sound like there's going to be Shea, AJ, or Jalen Williams in that game. Definitely not AJ and J-Dub. Very, very likely not Shea. And that's a team that is playing incredible basketball right now. They have not lost with James Harden in a Cavs uniform. And then, of course, it's the Toronto Raptors, who really like to make things difficult, great defensively. I think that's going to be a really tough offensive game for this team. They're going to need a lot of guys to step up. And then it's the Detroit Pistons, the second half of a back-to-back there, Wednesday, February 25th. I don't think it's impossible that Shea comes back for that game. I do think there is a possibility with the stakes of that matchup, of course, but also when they said Shea's timetable, AJ's was hard a week. Dub was kind of hard in a couple of weeks. Shea's was it was a soft deadline. It's about a week was the way that it was worded when it was announced. So I wouldn't be shocked if Shea came back for that Pistons game. It feels like it could be a good opportunity to get into a bit of a rhythm, and then you go ahead and you play Denver. So those 4 next games, maybe Shea for 2 of them, hopefully AJ Mitchell for at least 1 of them, the Denver game. But Cleveland and Toronto is going to be a really tough couple of games against really good Eastern Conference opponents without our main guys in the lineup. So that's something to note. And then hopefully we get a little bit healthier from there, because it's Dallas, Chicago, New York, Golden State, Denver, Boston, Minnesota, which, by the way, Topic Thunder fan event is going to be that game going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves Sunday, March 15th. Really excited about that one. If you're coming, shout out to you. And then the Orlando Magic, Brooklyn Nets, Wizards. It gets a little bit easier from there, and then you end off the season with a pretty tough stretch of Knicks, Pistons, Lakers, Jazz, Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, and the Suns. So things are going to continue to be difficult. Meanwhile, for the San Antonio Spurs, their schedule, I'll go ahead and pull up their exact opponents. It's not easy by any means over the next few games. I mean, next time they play the Sacramento Kings, so yeah, that's easy, and the Brooklyn Nets as well in the next 5. But the other 3 games in the 5 are the Pistons on the road, the Raptors on the road, and the Knicks on the road. They also have the Sixers on the road, the Pistons again, the Clippers, the Rockets, the Celtics, the Nuggets, the Hornets, the Clippers. They don't have it very easy either. I know a lot of people are talking about the Thunder's injuries, and it's oh, they're going to lose the 1 seed in this and that. But the Spurs are going to be going through a really tough stretch the same time that we are. And I still do think once we get past this week, the injury thing is going to be kind of in the past. The Jalen Williams stuff is the main concern with the hamstring. The wrist looked really good last game that he played, and so ultimately that is really encouraging. That's the thing that I'm worried about the most with Dub is his wrist good to go? Because, I mean, the hamstring thing, you can't really tell. It's just going to have to be okay. We'll see if it is, and that is something that could be re-aggravated. But obviously, if Dub is able to shoot, if his wrist is feeling okay, that is one of the biggest factors into making the Thunder more formidable in that path, trying to go back-to-back. But ultimately, say there is a world where the Thunder lose the 1 seed. Again, I'm not anticipating it, but if they do, I still think it's fine. The number 1 priority is to be healthy. Don't rush guys back just because we feel the need to win games to maybe get home court advantage in a series against the Spurs. When I'm going to be honest, I don't even think assuming it's Denver at the 3 spot, which is the way I think it's going to go. Right now, they are tied with the Rockets, although I believe that this standings I'm looking at now, yeah, I mean, the Nuggets are at 40 points in the third quarter, and the Blazers right now. So they're going to win that game. They're going to move back to the 3 seed. Spurs Nuggets, I would take the Nuggets in that series. And the Thunder would then still have, I mean, I guess it would be Thunder Nuggets in the second round. That's honestly the bigger concern, is maybe you end up with them in the second round. But I do think if, the Nuggets and Spurs play in a series, the Thunder would, or the Nuggets would probably beat the Spurs. So that eliminates some of those concerns. But just in general, the big thing is if you get the 1 seed, you likely avoid the Nuggets and the Spurs until the conference finals, who are the 2 biggest opponents to the Thunder, the 2 biggest threats in the Western Conference at the moment. But yeah, we'll have to see when this team can get healthy. But overall, not like a perfect game against the Nets by any means, but encouraging stuff from Jared McCain and Nikola specifically. Really just got to get guys back. I mean, that is the priority at the moment. Also, All-Star Weekend, I guess I'll talk about it real quick because there was, one representative for the Thunder in Chet Holmgren at All-Star Weekend. He was, of course, part of Shooting Stars, and that didn't go really well because for some reason, rather than, an NBA former point guard and Rick Brunson passing the ball for Team Knicks, who ended up winning the thing, it was Drewski who threw no-look passes over the head of Scotty Barnes. And, listen, Chet didn't knock down all of his shots for sure, but I don't think the passes helped by any means. So, yeah, Shooting Stars didn't go great for Chet, but then All-Star Game, of course, his team ends up winning it. Chet was really solid, knocked down a 3. He had a couple of dunks, blocked a Kawhi Leonard 3 in the corner. I believe it was Kawhi. Yeah, just all-around great showing from Chet. Good to see him out there in the All-Star festivities. Very, very deserved. Hopefully next year everybody's healthy. We can see Shea, Chet, and Dub participating in All-Star Weekend because I think they're all going to be, they all clearly are that caliber of player, but next season, if healthy, they will all be at that caliber, of course. But yeah, I think that's just about everything from me. Again, not a lot to talk about. If I have to make predictions for when guys are back, I'm gonna predict that Shea's back for the Pistons game. I'm gonna predict that he goes ahead and surprises people, or the Thunder surprise people, and he's back February 25th. I think AJ Mitchell will be back for that game against the Denver Nuggets. If not that one, then it will be against the Dallas Mavericks. I just can't imagine that this AJ injury keeps him out that much longer. And for Jalen Williams, a couple weeks away is going to put him right at about, I think, pre the next Nuggets game on March 9th. So that's my prediction. I'm going to predict that Shea's back for the Pistons game, AJ comes back for Denver, and Jalen Williams is back before the Nuggets game on March 9th, which is unfortunate because I'm going to be at Madison Square Garden for the Knicks game on March 4th. So, yeah, I think that's about all I got for y'all today. I know a little bit of a shorter pod. Of course, it's just me flying solo, so I don't want to just sit here and ramble when there's not that much more to talk about with the team. But I appreciate y'all tuning in. As always, leave a like and subscribe if you're here on the YouTube channel, podcast platforms, rate 5 stars, and everything like that. Again, excited about the fan event. The Topic Thunder fan event will be, of course, again on Sunday, March 15th against the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's going to be a great time. That's going to be an amazing matchup, the Thunder and Wolves. Hopefully OKC is pretty healthy by that point. But a Western Conference Finals rematch and playing some of the best basketball of his career. And then against the Celtics, I mean, I think there's a chance that Jason Tatum is playing that game on March 12th up against the Boston Celtics. That's a game that I'm going to be at with some of the other guys from the podcast getting in town a few days before the game there on Sunday, March 15th. But it's a tough schedule coming up. It's not going to get much easier for the Thunder. You just got to continue to ride it out, got to get healthier. But at the same time, I don't think the Thunder are going to lose the 1 seed. That's something I've been seeing a lot of people talk about. And also, I just don't think Shea's going to lose the MVP. I mean, again, the ESPN poll today had Shea winning in like a landslide. And I don't think there's anything that Jokic and Cade are going to be able to do to kind of eliminate that lead at this point. Like Jokic, I mean, having a monster game right now, 32, 9, 7, and 4. He's really, really good, but the Thunder are so far ahead, and with all the injuries, still maintaining the 1 seed, especially when you take a look at the numbers when Shea's on the court versus off. I think it's pretty clear that Shea is the MVP of the league at this point. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for y'all. Again, appreciate y'all tuning into the Topic Thunder podcast. We'll be back maybe Tuesday. I got to check which days we have games. I guess it would make sense to do the usual like Monday or Tuesday-ish, probably around Tuesday, facing the Raptors. But there is a chance that we're not back until Wednesday, post-Pistons game, because on a back-to-back, sometimes we'll, just go ahead and give ourselves a little bit more to talk about with those back-to-back games. But for the moment, I've been Cone. I appreciate y'all listening to Topic Thunder. Thunder up, and just hope guys can get back out there on the court. Shout out to Nikola shout out to Jared McCain for putting together a pretty good game today. I know it's the Brooklyn Nets, but hey, wins are wins at this point, whenever you can get them. But yeah, appreciate y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. Take care. Or I gotta say Dylan's whole thing. God bless